What's up, guys? All right, welcome to my channel. Just gonna go over a few Instagram videos that have been sent to me. Maybe I came upon them myself, and just kind of talk about what my thoughts are on them. A lot of times people reach out to me and they want to know what I think of certain things that are going around on social media. So we'll do that. Then we'll take a look at a few average swings throughout Major League Baseball. Just a few average swings that I've picked up along the way. Guys who didn't hit with all that much power or consistency. And we'll take a look at, I think it's important to look at not just always be looking at the guys who did well, but also take a look at guys who didn't do so well and maybe talk about possibly why mechanically they didn't do so well. First of all, I want to tell you guys about some of the things that I have going on. Many of you guys know I have the lead arm training bat, which you can get at theswingmechanic.com. I also have the Swing Like Griffey ebook. And for you golfers out there, I have my golf book, How to Swing a Golf Club, and my lead arm training club. So I know a lot of you dads out there, you don't play baseball anymore. Your son does, but you play golf. Well, I'm having a golf retreat as well in May of 2025. Check that out also at theswingmechanic.com. It'll probably be mostly like a baseball dad's golf swing retreat, to be honest with you, but it'll be a good time and you'll learn a lot. And we're gonna have that in Carmel by the Sea, which you can't get any better place than that. That's basically, I would say that's probably the best place for golf in America. And I haven't been to too many golf courses outside of America, but I would bet that there aren't too many places better than Carmel as far as golf courses. You have Spyglass, you have Pebble Beach, you have Poppy Hills. I love the Poppy Hills range, and that's where we're gonna be doing one of the sessions will be on Poppy Hills Range, so it'll be awesome. Anyways, check that out, and hope to see you there. So let's get into some of the content that, again, is floating around on Instagram, and I just want to comment on it. Look, a lot of it is, I don't mean to be insulting to people out there. These guys are just part of the conventional thoughts of the swing. And, it's not a personal thing. It's more my view of what's being taught out there. So let's take a listen. This is this gentleman, I don't know his name. I see him a lot. He's got the Raleigh Fingers mustache, and he has Lance Berkman in his office, and he decided to film the conversation that they were having. So let's take a listen.
The biggest thing that I see with young hitters now is nobody can backspin the ball to the pull side and in the air. I mean, they don't know how to.
I think what he's trying to comment on is the hanging back on the back leg and swinging up. This would produce, I'm trying to think about what he's talking about. This would produce a top spin to the pull side if you hang back on your back leg and swing up like is being taught with the Richard Schenk style of swing. Sure, I don't think that that's a good swing. I've told you guys that before. He has Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is a large man, would probably do just as well with any technique he's doing. Show me some of the average size guys that are doing well with Schenk's approach. Not guys, above 200, but just average size guys. Show me a 180 to 190 pound guy who started crushing it after he did the Richard Schenk style of swing. So I think that's what he's talking about.
A lot of them are underneath and over the top, so they hit the top spin.
Because their barrel is too deep too early,
Okay.
and their lower half is spinning,
Yep.
so they have nothing to stop against, and they can't hold their directional line. And
This is where I completely disagree. This guy is... Okay, he's talking... I mean, it's just so... It's attributing the wrong things to a flaw. Barrel dropping is not a problem. I also don't... He said they have nothing to stop against. People are so into this deceleration thing. It's not that I don't think that we decelerate in the swing. It's just that that's not a difficult part. It's kind of a natural thing to do. It's not a difficult part of the swing. Let me give you an example. Let's say you went to a bodybuilding convention or seminar or something like that. Look, to build muscle, you need rest and you need exertion, right? You need stress. So when you go to this seminar, are they going to be talking about the stress part, or are they going to be talking about the rest part? Everyone can pretty much rest pretty easily. Both are essential to building muscle, but we don't really typically need instruction on how to lay on a couch and rest. So most of the seminar likely will be on how to do the stress part, right? So the reason why I bring that up is there are certain mechanical things in the swing that just happen pretty naturally. People don't tend to have a problem doing them. We know when we hit a baseball, I mean, a 5-year-old knows that, not knows intellectually and cognitively, but physically knows that he's going to have to halt or slow his body rotation to deliver the barrel. That's just something that we know this. I mean, when you throw, are you like, oh, I got to make sure I stop my hand or slow my hand so that the ball releases? These are things that are pretty natural to do. What's not natural to do is have more of your lead side working in the swing. That's very unnatural, but very necessary for hitting optimally. That's why I talk about it. But these guys are talking about, they often talk about things that are they're just, to say they're not important, is not what I'm trying to say, but they're not important to instruct because we don't have a problem with that. So, I mean, nobody's taking a swing and just spinning around in circles. Obviously, everyone's slowing their rotation in order to deliver the barrel. But what these guys see, these guys, I don't mean to be a jerk here, but they're just never really had a real obsession with the swing to the point that they just, for years and years, were looking at the swing. I can tell by the way they talk. And they're attributing these slices, basically, hitting the ball, basically with the barrel not catching up, right? They're seeing these hits and attributing the wrong thing. What they think it is, oh, you're spinning out. You're rotating open the shoulder, and that's why the barrel's late. Yes, that would be the knee-jerk, conclusion that you would come to. If I had never looked in the swing, I can see how that would seem to make sense. You're never squaring up the barrel, so you must be spinning out. That's actually not the way it works. That's not what's going on. What's going on is it's basically a hands pushing out. When your hands push out, the barrel stays back. So it boils down to the back arm. I mean, you can also push out the lead arm, but it's just not typically what you want to do. What's usually going on is the back arm is pushing outward. And so the barrel's hanging back, and you you get these kind of slice pop-ups to the opposite field, or you get the rollovers, which is what Berkman, I believe, is referring to when he's saying they can't hit the backspin to the pool side. Interesting, by the way, that Berkman's bringing up the need to pull. Like, you almost never hear guys talk about, you know, a pull hit as being something that's desired. But anyways, so let's continue.
Everything comes up and over this way, and it's sliced that way, and it's like an epidemic. I need you to show me what connected and disconnected.
I think they're referring more to Skanks. I think without saying it, they're kind of hinting at Skanks' methodology with the swing.
Disconnected is when my hips run away from my hands. So my hips have moved.
Oh, they approve of that. When my hips run away from my hands. There's just so much confusion out there in baseball swing instruction. When your hips run away from your hands, I don't even know, like, so your hips can very momentarily run away from your hands, but then, like I said, I completely acknowledge your hands have to then catch up and get into contact. So man, it's this 1 second movement is so hard to put into words, but like he says, your hips shouldn't run away from your hands. Well, I mean, if that doesn't happen to some degree, then you aren't using the most powerful muscle to power the move, or you're not at least using some of the most powerful muscle in your legs and hips to power the move. And basically, you could just swing without using them. You could just not rotate your hips, and if your hands were moving completely independently of your hips, no one would, in their right mind, think that your hands should fire at the very same time as your hips. I don't think. Do you guys? Is that how you guys are reading it? Is that the kind of instruction you're getting? That seems kind of silly to me. I mean, of course, we're unwinding. Every athletic movement happens almost like a wave of energy moving through your body. That's just a given. And the wave of energy with the baseball swing shows itself in your hips starting to rotate prior to your hands firing out.
It's when my hips start and my hands haven't moved yet, and now I'm disconnected.
Hold on. Do you understand how many coaches are teaching that?
Oh, yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah, because they think, oh.
By the way, what? That the hips go before the hands? I mean, I would think that that's pretty, pretty simple to figure out that the hips should fire before the hands.
We're going to stretch the rubber band, and then we're going to release it.
I don't like the whole rubber band thing. Our bodies are not, rubber bands. What else do they compare them to? Slingshots. I don't like all that stuff.
Into the ball, and that's just bad hitting. Guys, it's like you can hit bad pitching with a bad swing, but when you're trying to hit elite pitching, you have to have an elite swing. That's not an elite swing. In the kinetic chain, if you break it down, yes, I mean the hips are going to initiate slightly before, but then the hand.
Okay, so now he's saying the hips do go before. So what? But they just go slightly before? Is there a perfect amount that we all have to strive for? Or is it just that the hips fire before the hands? And then, of course, the wave moves up your body, the hips slow their rotation, and the barrel catches up.
Have to catch up and pass at least.
There you go. So that's...
Yes, bro. The hands have to outrace the hip as fast as you possibly can.
But
from the start, the hands have to outrace the hips as fast as they possibly can? There's such nuance here. I don't know what you need to do is get with these guys and just say, demonstrate the kind of move that you're actually talking about. Because if the hands just outrace the hips from the start, then why even have hips? Why not just swing from your knees? Or, you could just not. And I'm not one of these guys who thinks that I'm not one of these guys who thinks that your hips should, be going so far before your hands, like to an uncomfortable kind of forcing it kind of action. That has been taught in baseball, in golf, and that'll just lead to injury. It doesn't do any better. People thought for a long time it was called the X factor in golf, and that's not really the way it works. So I'm not one of those guys, but at the same time, your legs and hips provide a good base and power source for the swing.
Absolutely. The biggest thing that
Okay, so let's take a look at Berkman's swing. I mean, it looks to me like his hips are, kind of leading the way. By the way, Berkman was an insanely good hitter. He's one of the best switch hitters of all time. He had a 144 OPS plus. He's around 200 on the pound for pound list. I mean, this guy is, he may be a Hall of Famer one day. He's actually, maybe not because he didn't play long enough, but had he just played 3 or 4 more years, I think he'd be a shoo-in. But here you can see this is great positioning, and this is what I would call the hips kind of leading the hands. Not that that's something I stress, but this is great positioning. The barrel has flattened out. But I think that they were mostly trying to hint at talking about Skank's method. And then beautiful positioning here at contact. This is pretty much picture perfect. This is why he had so much power, and he also had a lot of consistency. I think he hit in the 290s career. But this is just ideal positioning pretty much at contact. And then beautiful extension after contact. I mean, that is a powerful, powerful swing. Looks a lot like Madison Bumgarner, actually. Okay, here he is lefty. Boom. Beautiful positioning there. And I would call that the body leading the hands. That's what I want to see, at least momentarily. Of course, guys, we don't spin around in circles with our hands trailing our body rotation. Of course, body rotation slows and we deliver the hands. But for a kind of a moment, we are, allowing the body to kind of outrace the hands. Beautiful positioning once again there at contact. Look at the back arm, well bent. Lead arm is nice and compressed up against the chest. The problem, like I said, is people are attributing this positioning where the body is kind of rotated open and the hands are seemingly trailing behind to, oh, that's the reason why hitters can't square the barrel up to the ball and they hit these weak pop-ups to the opposite field. That's attributing the wrong thing to the problem. Beautiful, beautiful positioning. I mean, Berkman, like I said, 144 career OPS plus. That's up there with the greats. That's better than Griffey. Better than a lot of people. All right, so let's get into some of the swings that have been sent to me, and I'll just give my analysis. This is someone who wanted me to analyze their swing. It's so funny. So often I get people sending me their swings. I think they might mistake me for Richard Skank, because I look at their swing and I'm like, you're doing the skank. You know? Doing the skank is where you lift up your leg almost like a dog would, and not the tree, I mean like a dog would do on a fire hydrant. And then you're just kind of hanging in that position, and then your front leg hits, but you still have your weight on your back leg. I know a lot of people are like, no, that's not what Skank says. He says, you know, you shift your weight through the swing or whatever he says. I don't know, but I know what it ends up happening. And what ends up happening is they're keeping way too much weight on the back leg. And they're swinging up. And look, their arms, because you're hanging back, you're not using a lot of your body into the hit. I mean, you can use body into the hit with a more hanging back kind of swing, but that's not what tends to happen in 99% of the people hanging back on their back leg. They fire their hands out like this, and they really don't have any say of where they're making contact with the ball. We're in an era right now, a swing style, a swing trend where people are just hanging back. And what's going to happen is everyone's going to be waving at pitches. They're going to be off on their timing. As much as they think they're improving their timing by lifting that leg, wouldn't you rather have a timing mechanism that can be applied later in the swing, like right before contact would be made, which would be the secondary cushion? I mean, that's basically, you could do a secondary cushion even as you start your swing. If you're hanging back on your back leg, you start your swing, you're done. You are toast. You start your swing with a little more weight shift and you've honed a secondary cushion, well, you're good. You're good. You just hang out, just wait, don't panic, wait for the pitch, just a split second longer and then swing. So this guy, I think, has me mistaken for Richard Skank because he just did a Richard Skank swing. All right, here's a guy who sent me a message saying, man, thanks for getting me to swing from my weak side. I've never taken swings that way, but I'm starting to do it. And kudos to this guy for doing it. I mean, his swing maybe looks a little awkward at first, probably feels a little awkward, but this is the way everyone's going to be when you start swinging from the opposite side. And even if you don't have the desire to switch hit, you should be swinging from your weak side. Just, it's insanity to me that we don't use baseball as a tool to better ourselves outside of baseball. That's only going to make you a better player too. So swinging from your weak side is something that's going to even out your body and your mind. It's going to make you less prone to injury. And by the way, you might find that you're damn good from the weak side, because most of us on our weak side don't have arms they're not our dominant arms and back. So we can't really overexert. We can't kind of mess up the lead side dominant action that's established when swinging from your weak side. So here you can see good positioning there. All of you guys should be filming your weak side swing and compare it to your regular side swing. I promise you, more than half of you are going to have better mechanical swings from your weak side because the back arm is not overexerting. And look at how his body kind of thrusts into the hit. And look at that, no flip over with the bat after contact. You know, most kids these days, their attention spans just aren't such that they're willing to take swings from the opposite side. All of you guys, I understand the feeling. I understand it's a feeling of like, oh, I'm not going to swing. Man, I don't even have my regular side down yet. I'm not going to take swings from my weak side. Push through that feeling, because guess what? Your regular swing could be improved by taking swings from your weak side. The feeling that you have through the swing from your weak side, you can feel that and transfer it over to your regular swing. And like I said, it's probably a better mechanical movement So it's going to pay to transfer the feeling over. Look at this. Look at this. This is the late thrusting action that you get with a back arm that doesn't overexert. Notice, by the way, barrel is dropping nicely. He's getting his body ready to start to get involved in the hit beautifully. Look at this. The hands are dropping, the barrel's dropping, so gravity is kind of taking over here. Now the body's saying, okay, now it's time to thrust. And look at that positioning. He's not trying to look like Griffey here, guys. This is just the natural way you swing when your back arm doesn't overexert. And then a beautiful extension. If this kid just started swinging from his weak side, he needs to give it another. By the way, he's taking live pitches, which is great because your eyes, everything, hand-eye coordination, pitch recognition needs to be worked on from the other side. If he sticks with this for a year, he's going to do some serious damage out there as a switch hitter. I'm impressed. I want to see more of this stuff from you guys, more swinging from the weak side. This is awesome. Let's start a movement swinging from the opposite side. Let's start a movement of switch hitters and guys who are brave enough to go to their weak side and start practicing from that side. Here's another swing that was sent to me. I don't really understand the whole need to like bend. Guys are like getting their heads like this. I think that's being coached into you guys by some sort of teaching, like keep your head down. Something, I don't know, maybe you guys can help me out. But I don't see the need to start doing this as you get into the swing. But I see it so often. But pretty good looking swing here. Good positioning through contact. What is that cutoff move? Why are you guys cutting your swing short? What is that? Why aren't you? Because if you're cutting your swing short at that point, that means you're slowing down about right here. If you swing all the way around as far as you can, that means you're going to be faster back here. So I don't understand, what is the point of this too? This is another thing that it's a style that's going on these days. What is that? What do you guys think it is? My initial thoughts were it started with Mike Trout. Because Mike Trout has that kind of look. Chase Utley had that kind of look, but he wasn't as popular as Trout is. So I don't know if there's anyone else who does. There are probably a lot of guys now who did that, but I just don't know who started it. Or why it's even done. All right, so here's a guy who sent me his regular swing and then his lead arm swing, and I thought this would be a good thing to talk about. Here you can see, this is not the kind of movement that I like. You guys probably know, most of you guys know that I don't like this. See the hands and going in front of the chest? There's space between the lead arm and the body. Now what you've done, this is the swing that Berkman and that other guy were talking about. This is the kind of swing that's going to typically lead to slices to the opposite field. The problem here is that it's disconnected from a huge source of weight and power, which is your body. And so I'm not saying you can't hit like this. I'm not saying you're never going to hit a home run like this. This is not ideal. This is not ideal. I also, by the way, think that swinging like this makes the high pitch look better to you because you're able to hit it. If you're typically allowing the hands to drop and the barrel to drop and you're being more lead side dominant, getting more of your body into the hit, not exerting with that back arm, then pitches like really high pitches, you can't even really get to. And you don't want to. You can get to all strikes, but you know, the really high ones are kind of harder to get to unless you have a swing like this. And I've talked about that before, how good mechanics restrict your swing, and that's a good thing because you learn through your restricted swing that you can't hit certain pitches outside the zone and you're more selective. With good mechanics, you have a confluence of benefits that work to make you way better than everybody else. That's why a lot of these guys like Ruth and Aaron and Williams, these guys were so much better because they mechanically had all these things working for them. Plus they had the other skills of hitting, and those are important too. I'm not denying that. But anyways, so this is not something that I like to see. Now he's got a nice connected position there at contact, so you can hit, he could hit for pretty good power with that kind of connection. But I just don't think the first part of the swing is done in an ideal way. I would like to see more front humerus compression, a little bit more of the body leading the hands. And when that happens, for that brief moment that the body leads the hands actually kind of drop as the barrel drops. They're aligning with your body rotation, as well as letting gravity take them momentarily because they're not exerting. So the gravity part is a sign, oh, okay, this hitter has started the swing with the body rotation and left his hands and arms completely loose for that brief moment. And so it's allowed the hands to, and the barrel to drop flat. But if you don't have that going on, then see how the barrel stays kind of high. It stays steep. But this is the swing that's advocated for. I mean, they want the bat to just travel like right through your neck. And this is what this guy has been taught, I'm sure. And this is what he's ingrained, unfortunately. Again, it's not a swing that he could be an all-star with a swing like this. But it's not ideal. There's a little flip going on just after contact there. So what I would like to see, and let's take a look at his lead arm swing. Am I going to get another one? Okay. So that's not surprising, that pop-up to the opposite field kind of thing. He's just late with the barrel. And that's going to happen a lot because he's pushing so much. He's not letting the barrel drop flat. And look at how far out he is at contact there. The overly keeping your head down at contact, we need to move past that in swing instruction. That's just silly. I mean, Boggs did it, and I think the 80s guys started this thing where you're looking down too much. And that might, like I said, that might be the reason why guys are tilting their heads so much. You just don't need to do that. You don't need to overly try to make sure you're watching the ball. I know guys are just trying to do what the coach asked them to do that, but that's not necessary. Here he is doing the lead arm swings, but he's doing it in a manner that is still in the structure of his back arm dominant regular swing. You can see that too, guys, because guys who are very back arm dominant, they tend to get low and crouched at this point in the swing. Whereas guys who are more lead side dominant, they kind of are more upright, and then they land in their stride, and they're still not crouching yet. But then after they land, they start to crouch then because they're more slinging the bat with their lead side. And so that leads to a different action. So what I would tell this guy is find a different action. When I ask you guys to swing with just the lead side, yes, we're looking to build the machinery of a more powerful and consistent swing, which would be a more lead side powering the move rather than the back arm. Yes, we're building that. Yes, we're strengthening that. But also I want you guys to search for a different swing action. One where at this point the hands are dropping. You're getting front humerus compression. Right? I'd like to see the bat out down by, below his shoulder, his back shoulder at this point. The hand also below his shoulder. He's forcing the same move that he's drilled thousands and thousands of times, which is a back arm dominant move. But this happens so often when I work with guys. there's no effort going on to find a different movement. And I know if they were given 10 years to swing with just the lead arm, that eventually, I mean, for sure, I'm just saying for sure after 10 years, but it doesn't need to take 10 years. But for sure after 10 years of swinging with just the lead arm, they would know, and they're hitting balls and seeing how far they're going, for sure, they would have to whittle it down to a movement that actually produced the most possible force, most consistently. And that would be one of more lead side action where the hands drop, you get more front humerus compression, the whole body structure would change. The thrusting action would happen later, right? So the problem going on here is he just isn't stepping outside his swing. Guys are so protective, and I don't mean this negatively, disparagingly towards people out there. They don't know. But whether they know it or not, guys are so protective of the action that they've used for so long. Maybe it's because they don't want to look silly. You know, maybe it's because they've just drilled it so many times. Or maybe they're scared that it's, going to be something completely different. But then I know they can do it because they get with their friends and they say, oh, here, look at me. Guess who I am? And they do some, crazy looking swing. Well, I'm asking you to do the same kind of thing, but just think of it as if only my lead side, and think shoulder and upper back of the lead side. If only that could power the swing, along with my body as well, but I'm thinking about that lead side primarily. If I only had that, what would my swing morph into? That's the kind of thinking I want you guys to reflect on. All right, this is a video of a guy who's saying when it's okay to have an arm bar. Still connected, tight turn. Okay. So he's arm barring and then throwing the hands out and then having a completely disconnected position. Man, there's a lot of pretty poor information out there online. I mean, that is not a good swing. And I don't advocate for the arm bar necessarily. I advocate for find your lead side structure. Swing with just your lead arm. Figure out what you like best. If it's a bent arm, this kid who we just saw, if that's what you want, kind of a bent arm like that, that's fine. But he's not relaxing the arm and really using lead side because his arm stays like this. So he's like tense in the arm, he's tense in the wrists the whole time. I want to see what would happen if you just had just the lead side to swing with for a long time and you had to figure out the best way to do it. It's not going to be one where you're tensing up the arm and firing it out. It's not. It's going to be one where the arm says, hey, you know what? I think I'll catch a free ride from the rotating body to start the move. And then what we can do is use the body to kind of sling the arm through contact. And that's going to be your most powerful, most consistent way to deliver the barrel square. So let's see when it's not okay to have an arm bar. Oh. And that's a better swing, but it's still not very good. But he's moving in slow motion. I mean, again, this is a long swing, bat drag, disconnected. By the way, how's that disconnected? Isn't he more connected? Isn't that more connected? His lead arm is more connected, it looks like, to me. But then he's purposefully dragging the barrel. But when you swing in regular speed and you delay or start to slow the body rotation to deliver the barrel, which everyone knows to do, and it's not hard to do, then the barrel is delivered in a position arm position that he's in right here, and that would be ideal. If the barrel were square here, that would be the right swing. But he doesn't like it. And again, a poor position at contact, way too disconnected. So that's the swing he likes. What are you going to do? I mean, most guys out there are not that interested in the swing. I hate to say it. By my standards, and those are maybe a little too high, they never got all that curious about the swing. Oh, here's the slot band. So if you wear this band, your arm will be more bent by about an inch than if you don't wear the band. And more bent is supposed to be better, I guess, these days. I don't know. Has anyone seen the best swing of all time? Like, ask your coach who had the best swing of all time. That's the way, I just figured out, that's the way to handle poor coaching out there. For all you guys who have a coach who teaches the wrong stuff mechanically, ask him which player had the best swing of all time. 90% of them are going to say Ken Griffey Jr. After they say that, then say, okay, good. Is it okay if I swing like Ken Griffey Jr.? And then he's going to say yes. Now you got him. Now he can't teach any of this garbage that's being taught out there. The first thing I want to say is, why do you need a band to have your arm an inch more bent at the start of the forward swing? Why not just say, hey, I'm going to bend my arm a little more at the start of the forward swing? Not that you want that. I mean, I don't understand why this is so preferred. Let's see the difference, this amazing difference in these two swings. I mean, that position on the right, I mean, the one on the left is not very good either, but the one on the right is just so disconnected. I mean, you're not going to have any power with that kind of disconnection. I can't believe that these guys wanted to post this as their advertisement. All right, here's another advertisement. Let's see what this one says. Are you pulling your hands across your body right after contact? That's a pretty good looking swing. I love it when these people do good swings when they're trying to do bad swings. That's not a bad swing. Let's see, how did she even hit the ball? Oh, line drive. Good swing with a line drive. Don't do it. Okay, what should you do? Okay, sorry. I need to improve my editing skills. Try this drill. 45-degree drill helps work on direction and hand path. Can somebody explain to me what direction is all about? Because the way I understand it is it's basically throwing your hands out towards the ball in the direction that you're trying to hit the ball. Like, what is that? What the term direction? I know there's talking about something that I completely disagree with, even though I don't know what the heck it means. But it's insane. Direction. You lose direction, man. Okay, I'm just trying to hit the ball hard. What in any direction that's a fair ball. So what's the direction? Are you supposed to swing and at the same time think about what direction should I be putting my hands in here? I don't know. So let's see this drill. I see this drill all the time. Like, people think they're so like, oh man, we're working on some technical stuff. We're gonna open the legs up, right? We're gonna put our foot so open that it's ridiculous. And that way, people know we're working on something. What we're working on, I don't know, but we're gonna look like we're working on something. And then what? Wait, is she cutting this? Oh yes, she's cutting the swing short. So that way you're working on, look guys, when you cut the swing short, notice what muscles are acting to cut the swing short. The muscles that are acting are on this side and pushing back. So you're practicing kind of delaying the barrel from getting into the zone. It's probably not a good idea. It's exactly what you don't want to work on, actually. And she's flipping more than she was before. So there you have it. All right, let's go over some average major leaguers. And by the way, guys, these guys made the major leagues. So they're really not average in the sense of like the average hitter on your team. If you play high school ball or if you play pro ball, then disregard what I'm saying. But these guys are typically going to have a lot of lead side in their swing because they made it to the pros. You understand how that works? Now, if they have a lot of lead side, they're typically going to be on the pound for pound list. So let's look at where these guys are. Here's Joey Cora. Joey Cora, let's look up his stats. Joey Cora was a really small guy. Let's see. Joey Cora played from 87 to 98. Hit 30 homers in 3,734 at-bats. He weighed 150. So you have to, take his stats with a grain of salt. 150 is extremely light. And he hit 277 batting average. This is where the devil is really in the details. Like, I'm actually going to look for some lead side from this guy. Because 30 homers for a 150-pound guy, that's actually not bad, even though he's got 3,734 at-bats. Like, if you look at his 97 year, in 574 at-bats, he had 11 homers. Dude, try being 150, hitting against Major League pitching, and hit 11 homers in a season. That's not that bad. And that same season, he hit 300. OPS plus career of 90, so he's way below average in OPS plus, but again, 150 pounds, So let's take a look at his action here. You can see kind of a steep barrel here, hands pushing out. Pretty decent looking swing. I mean, decently connected there at contact, but the hands just pushed out at the start of the swing too much. Too much tension in the arms. But look, not a lot of flip. So that tells me that he's got quite a bit of body control in the swing. Got quite a bit of lead arm, lead side, I like to say lead side now, lead side action going on in the swing. Nice wide finish. So, I mean, again, a major leaguer, He's and one who was pretty dang successful. If you hit 300 in a season, and he hit 291 another season, 297, his average wasn't that bad. A career is 277 average. You're going to have to, as a 150 pounder, you're going to have to be able to transfer quite a bit of force into the hit. So this is Rich Amaral. Rich Amaral, I mean, I don't know if I need to look at all these guys' stats, but they weren't, spectacular. Oh, here. So Rich Amaral weighed 175 pounds, hit 11 homers in 1,788 at-bats. So this is where I start thinking, okay, something's probably going wrong here in his mechanics. Because, I mean, that's, 175 isn't that heavy, but, And look, here you can see the hands are traveling in front of the body, right? And they're just kind of independently hitting the ball. There's not a whole lot of body into the hit. So what I would tell someone like this is swing with just your lead arm. Figure it out. Sorry, I mean, that's It's real simple, guys, because if he was swinging with just his lead arm here, where would his hands be? Where would his hand be? His hand would be like behind his back shoulder, right? At this point, getting a free ride from his body rotation. But instead, his back arm is pushing out. And he likes to hit the ball with a bit of a flip, right? But still, pretty nice and wide on the finish. So there's still some body into the hit. Again, major league hitter. You know, it's going to be really unlikely to make the major leagues without at least a little bit of lead side action working in your swing. A lot of times, though, these guys come to the major leagues with a lot of lead side action, and then they get changed. And I think this is one of the great things working for Ken Griffey Jr. because he had a dad who played Major League Baseball. I mean, everything was lined up just right for Griffey. He had a lead arm that was dominant. He had a dad who played in the major leagues, so guys didn't really instruct him all the way up. He also swung really heavy bats as a kid because he was at the major league stadiums where all they had were heavy bats. So and I mean, really, you can't find, unless you talk about Barry Bonds, who also, by the way, had a very good swing, but you can't find circumstances that are any better than what Ken Griffey Jr. grew up with. And he happens to have the best swing of all time. This is Rich Dower. Pretty decent looking position here to the start of the swing. Barrel's dropped. The hands are kind of trailing the rotation of the body. But then it's kind of just a weak move through contact more than anything. It doesn't seem like he's really trying, and this is, again, a problem out there. Guys are not taught to put everything into the hit. They're taught that that's irresponsible. That's not being prudent if you're trying to hit the ball really hard. You hear that, I mean, go to a Little League game and you'll hear at least a few times a game, you're going to hear some coach talk about or yell out to a player, you know, don't swing so hard. Don't try to crush the ball. Just make contact. It reminds me of, I think I played, what was it, Bill Mazeroski's, or was it Thompson, Bobby Thompson's home run, one of those two guys, where you can hear the third base coach say, just get on, Bill, just get on, I think it was Bobby Thompson. Just get on, Bobby, we'll bring you around. Like, and then the guy hits one of the most famous home runs of all time. Like, I'm not one of these guys who's just into home runs. I'm into hitting the ball as hard as you can. But this whole idea of I just want to get on base, so let me just not hit the ball as hard and just take kind of a careful, you know, excuse me kind of swing so I ensure contact. That way I can run out a ground ball for an out. I don't get it. That's my problem with small ball. I just don't like that mentality. All the best teams I ever played against mashed from 1 to 9. That's it. They were just better hitters. And I think it's better to focus your energy on making 1 to 9 great hitters. And you're going to beat most teams. You don't have to worry about, should we bunt here? Should we hit and run? Should we make sure he tries to go the other way here? I mean, that's just getting off your game. Instead, just hit the ball as hard as you can and teach players good, powerful swings. It's going to be way more effective. So here you can see just kind of weak there through contact. Like the hands kind of take over, the arms take over and finish the swing kind of too early, it looks like. And a lot of times guys achieve decent positions, but they're just used to a very disconnected position at contact. So that's what they know and that's what they seek on every pitch. And for those guys, I mean, the lead arm progression will teach you a more connected position at contact, doing that off a tee. But really, they could just feel like just you could just tell them, feel more connection at contact. Do the exact same swing, but just be more connected at contact and finish more around your body. That's what I would tell Rich Dower. Because look, he's like trying to run to first base before his swing's even finished. That means he's starting to run to first base here. This is where your swing starts to get affected when you're a right-hander and you're going to first base prematurely. It affects the swing prior to contact. That's why I say, lefty or righty, finish the swing. Worry about running to first base in a moment when you're done the swing. This is UL Washington. I guess we'll look up his stats. What the heck? No, I don't want to. You look him up. UL Washington. I don't think they were great stats. I don't think he hit a lot of homers. I don't think he's on the pound for pound list. But decent positioning here. I like it right here. But this is one of those guys who I think is probably just used to a very disconnected position at contact. In other words, his body thinks that this is where we should be at contact. Well disconnected. And so the hands just kind of, so he times it so that the hands can kind of release from the body and he's making contact way out here. And there you can see the body kind of resists rotation. If you think about, like, I always want to see you finishing all the way around. So when I see a swing like this, I just think, well, he's honed a movement where he's just kind of restricting the rotation. He's not swinging as hard as he possibly can. But again, this could be something that just happened for him when he entered the major leagues, because that's what's taught. I mean, it was taught, it still is taught. So this kind of conservative approach at the plate. Like, let's not get out of hand and try to start hitting home runs and hard hits. Let's just make sure we make contact. It's not the way. A better mentality, a better approach is to swing as hard as you can on every single pitch. On every single pitch that you want to swing at. Make it as hard as you possibly can. And if you miss even 3 times in a row, don't let that change your approach of swinging as hard as you can. Am I saying I only love home runs? No. I love the line drive to the opposite field. I think it won a World Series for one of my former students. I'm okay with hard hit balls anywhere. I think that's about it. That about covers it. We're an hour in. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you next time.